Andrew Schulz is still backtracking from his Trump support.
Up on the podcast, you know, and I'm aware.
Explaining that, man.
No, but let me just...
And even with how bad this administration has been, it seems like the murder of Alex Preddy at the hands of ICE and the federal response to it.
The suspect also had 2 magazines with ammunition in them that held dozens of rounds. This looks like a situation where an individual arrived at this scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement.
It's really what snapped him out of whatever delusion that he was in. I really expected him to bring up ICE and Trump on the Flagrant podcast, especially because that's the platform where he hosted Trump initially.
You need an extraordinary memory because you have to come back to where you started.
Yes.
You always, a weave is only good if you
give you
come
credit
back.
for that.
Yeah, it's true.
You could go all the way over here and then
I
get
can
back.
go so far here or there, and I can come back to exactly where I started.
But surprisingly, Schulz brought it up on a Brilliant Idiots podcast with Charlemagne.
This type of behavior happening in America, I just didn't think it was possible.
Now, I gotta be honest, it's really hard for me to look past Schulz's support of Trump. We all knew how serious that last election was, and with Project 2025 being out there, we knew the implications of Trump taking office again. So I'm definitely one of those people like, you're on that side, stay on that side. And even in this pod, Schulz admitted that he heard all the warnings about Trump. He knew the risk. He was fully aware of him trying to break the Constitution by causing an insurrection and still chose to platform him anyway. And was just hoping that the institutions in the federal government would save us if he went too far. Well, he went too far and they have not saved us.
Genuine. And I thought, and I heard it again, I heard people sounding the alarms. I thought that our institutions and our Constitution could hold up. I didn't think that it would be infringed upon.
But you have to have people who care to hold up.
But I'm Jew. Welcome to the channel. Please like and share the video. Don't forget to sub. Now, let's get into it.
Another tragic situation in Minnesota. Alex Preddy was...
Alex
Preddy.
Yeah.
Alex Preddy was shot and killed by Homeland Security. It's so much to this story. What tripped me out was how quick they were to rush out and tell us that what we saw,
Amen,
we didn't see.
Amen.
An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently. Fearing for his life and for the lives of his fellow officers around him, an agent fired defensive shots. Medics were on the scene immediately and attempted to deliver medical aid to the subject, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect also had 2 magazines with ammunition in them that held dozens of rounds. He also had no ID. This looks like a situation where an individual arrived at this scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement.
It's still crazy that this entire administration is able to tell a bold-faced lie with zero repercussions.
Here was a couple seconds of that propaganda of them saying the exact same thing.
An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently.
Talk about propaganda.
But that's because the reality distortion field around MAGA is just so thick at this point. They're used to lying about everything, and this is probably the biggest backlash they ever received. Again, because people got to see the video of 6-7 men tackling a guy that was trying to defensively protect another woman, being disarmed and still killed.
That to me is textbook authoritarianism, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because it's not about even trying to make you believe. This is, no, we're going to dictate your reality. Your perception of reality, we're going to tell you what it is. No, that didn't happen. This is what happened. That's why, you know, it was, as soon as I saw Kristi Noem go out there and do that, I was like...
It wasn't only Kristi Noem, it was every single one of them, the entire administration. Now they're walking it back because they see that we have camera footage and we can see this like blatant, disgusting, heinous act that transpired, and there's no way. And he's also seeing his own base react to it.
Yes.
And going, like he's seeing January 6ers go out there and saying, this is horrendous, you cannot do this to people. And once you see them turn on on Trump.
This is a textbook American. This guy was a nurse for veterans.
VA nurse.
His right to bear arms, concealed carry permit.
He had a permit to carry.
Everybody, and it's funny, and I had to think about this, right? Everybody's like, oh, he was at a protest, Who said he was at a protest?
But why can't you be at a protest?
But you can be, but who said he was? He just looked like he was on the street watching ICE wreck shop on somebody, and so he had his camera out recording them. I didn't see a protest going on. I saw ICE doing whatever they was doing to someone.
Yeah.
He had the cameras out. Then ICE pepper sprays these young ladies, tosses them to the ground. He does what a nurse should do, goes to the aid of the young ladies, then they jump on him. Where was the protest? Everybody keeps saying, oh, he bought a gun to a protest. Even if he did, he had every right to. But I didn't see the protest. I just saw a guy practicing his right to bear arms on a Minnesota street.
That's another thing that Trump is going to be losing people in his base over. You know, the right, Republicans, MAGA, our super Second Amendment right to bear arms. I know every time a Democrat is elected, they say they're going to try to take our guns away, and it's a big call to action for them. So to hear Trump say to reporters while addressing Alex Preddy's death that people shouldn't be outside with guns, or he's going to take a look at the gun situation in America, that definitely will lose a lot of people in his base.
Let's assume that he was go out.
I think by the protest, people are talking about people around are trying to make it hard for ICE to...
So I always see this dude on the Flagrant podcast. I didn't realize he was a behind-the-scenes person on The Brilliant Idiots.
So they have the whistles, they have like a lot of stuff just so it makes it hard for ICE to
raise awareness.
Yeah.
But you should do that.
So that's their form of protesting. That's what
I think it's really important that you bring up the administration's response.
It was disgusting.
And the administration swears an oath. The president, these other people, they swear an oath to
the Constitution,
uphold the Constitution. This guy was exercising two of his constitutional rights. Let's assume it's the right to protest. Let's assume he is peacefully assembling and protesting, and the right to bear arms. And when you immediately jump to justifying that act, what you are doing is, in an effort to preserve your own personal power, you are shredding the Constitution in the face of the people.
He's been doing that.
And it doesn't matter where you sit on the aisle. There is one document that is supposed to bind us all as Americans, and that is the Constitution. So I think that's why, at its core, there are a lot of people that might have very radical views that are giving incredible pushback on this, and I love seeing it because they are recognizing that this disgusting act of shredding the document that's supposed to bind all of us as Americans. Now, we can have little disagreements, we can healthily debate these, how we should, do law enforcement in different cities. We can have these conversations.
See, for me, this is where Andrew Schulz comes off disingenuous. You're talking about respecting the laws of this country, supporting the Constitution. His hard red line is anybody breaking the Constitution. But the Constitution supports free and fair elections. And when Trump didn't get the result he wanted, he caused an entire insurrection. And this is long before he appeared on Schulz's podcast. So you can't tell me that all of a sudden you see the Constitution being threatened and it's this big wake-up call for you. When Trump already wiped his ass with the Constitution before you platformed him and had him on your podcast where you were laughing and having the time of your life.
I have a hard time doing it to them because I'm basically a truthful person. But and frankly,
in terms of immediately shredding it upon this tragic event and not even looking into it, by the way, it was like immediate reactions without even watching the videos.
Investigation,
no investigation, nothing.
No, I think they saw the videos. I think that
I don't think so.
Christy.
Well, no, they might have seen it.
had to see the video.
Sure, they might have seen it, but instead of going, hey, we need to investigate this further, talk to the different officers, see exactly what happened, and honor the constitutional rights of that man, because anybody who watches this video understands that I don't think he's doing anything illegal from watching this video at all.
He wasn't doing anything illegal at all. And the fact that they disarmed him, because they show you that in the video, they took his pistol off him and then shot him.
Somebody said it in the comment on my other Andrew Schulz video that they don't watch him on the Flagrant podcast, only on Brilliant Idiots, and I 100% get it. Brilliant Idiots is way less obnoxious and cringe and awkward because Andrew Schulz isn't the A personality trying to lead the conversation, make jokes where everybody does that fake laugh over things that aren't funny. This just seems like a real adult conversation and podcast. So I definitely get that.
What's the point of this?
Yeah.
What's the point of this? And this is what happens when you have people on the job who don't know what the fuck they're doing.
They're inexperienced, they're undertrained, right? And that's the thing about ICE. It's like a lot of these guys are taking a big bonus and they're doing like 6 weeks of training, and then they don't know how to de-escalate situations.
This is Nazi behavior, what they're doing. It's not just a poor training thing.
So I was talking to Alex, who was in law enforcement, about this first, and it's like the first thing
Alex
that you guys... Alex Media.
You was in law enforcement?
Yeah, he was a court officer for years.
Know this.
I did not know he was a fucking law enforcement.
I would come record the podcast in uniform.
He thought you were being professional.
Yeah.
You were a cop?
Sorry, court officer.
Like a bailiff?
Yeah.
Yeah, you went over
Say
there.
court officer like that's some fancy shit.
Nigga, that's what it's called.
You was a fucking bailiff.
But you don't remember? It was,
no, I don't.
I'm not saying that I had action.
He got injured on the job.
Yeah.
Action. He got injured on the job.
They tried to jump the judge and we took him down to the ground.
Really?
Yeah.
And they didn't shoot. Oh, did you shoot him?
Nope.
And kill him right there? Or did you de-escalate the situation?
De-escalated the situation.
Right.
There is no de-escalation going on with ICE at all in any interaction that we've seen.
Charmaine doesn't believe you.
He was...
Yeah. I thank you for your service, Alex.
Thank you.
Man, shut up.
I know.
I hate this.
I know. You want to be a dick for...
What?
People like you really turn "thank you for your service" to "bless your heart." I'm gonna pray for you. That's what you turn that shit into.
I do thank you for your service.
It's just that we're trained that the first thing you should do is de-escalate the situation. You should never try to escalate the situation. And clearly, all of them are escalating this situation. The training is horrible. I did 6 months of training. They're doing 47 days because this is the 47th.
A month of training to be put out on the street in U.S. cities where you're armed, masked, told you have full immunity, and then you're dealing with U.S. citizens that are protesting you and ICE. That is not enough time, not enough training. And really, they shouldn't be pulling people off the street and giving them guns.
Klobuchar on the Sunday news, she said that they do 47 days of training because Trump is the 47th president.
That's crazy.
Yeah, disgusting. And look, I know I had Trump.
This administration is so dumb. They do 47 days of training because Trump is the 47th president.
Trump on the podcast, and I'm aware.
Explaining that.
No, but let me just.
No, shut up, Charlemagne. He needs to keep explaining. And yes, he's acknowledged that he's had Trump on the podcast, but all people really want is an apology. I supported something that I shouldn't have. I heard all the warnings about Trump. I chose not to listen, and it turned out exactly how people said it would. I think most people feel like they want an apology from people like Schulz for platforming Trump, for helping to push him, to normalize him, to ingrain him with their audience. We've seen other MAGA supporters come out and say, hey, this isn't what I thought it was. I'm sorry I supported this. But we haven't seen that from Schulz. So even though he is coming on these platforms and saying, hey, I'm no longer behind this, I don't like the way ICE is moving, people feel like that just isn't enough.
Clarify, because I think it is important to say, I know how I had him on the podcast, and when I'm talking out about this, I'm not doing it to get people to be like, oh, he's a good guy or whatever like that, or trying to get anybody on my side. I understand that this is a horrific event that happened. I objectively want to talk about it. I'm not trying to win anybody over in this.
You understand? You know the difference between right and wrong.
There's a difference between right and wrong, and there's a difference between respecting and honoring the Constitution, the backbone of our country, and then completely shredding it. And this is completely shredding it. And now they're realizing that people have noticed it, and now they're trying to backtrack it. But
by the way, he's been wiping his ass with the Constitution.
Sure.
I've been on record a million times saying when he said we should terminate the Constitution to overthrow the results of an election, shit like that got to be disqualifying if you're running for president.
So that is 100% the point. He did that when he lost an election. Therefore, that should have been disqualifying in and of itself. But people like Schulz, Theo Von, and Joe Rogan still platformed him after he did that. But these are the same people that praise and hold up the Constitution. It can't be both things. You have to admit that you willingly ignored what Trump did, who Trump was, who we all knew him to be, and platformed him anyway, which Schulz keeps walking around without directly addressing.
So here's a perfect example. So it's I know that there are people sounding the alarms about this. When I saw these last few weeks in Minnesota, I didn't think it was possible to happen in the United States of America. I'm being 100% serious.
To white people.
No.
I'm going to keep making this point because it's facts. We've seen black people get killed on camera at the hands of police so many times. So this visceral shock that it seems like the rest of America is having, white America is having, with what's going on with ICE, with them killing innocent U.S. citizens, getting away with it, and then lying about those people. We've seen that play out so many times over the years. And there was never this huge backlash about it, at least outside of the black community, where everybody was like, this is a travesty. This has to stop. But now it's happening to white people on camera, and they're being lied about. And I think white people relate to that more, that this is a travesty. This can't be America, even though it's the America that black people have been living in since forever.
No, to anybody.
Right.
But you've seen it happen to black people.
Exactly.
Yes, to white people.
It's okay to say that.
No,
it is.
No.
But it's okay to say that.
I don't. I mean, I didn't know that this was possible to happen in the United States of America. And what I'm specifically talking about with this situation here, and not only this one, but also what we've seen ICE doing, entering homes without warrants, arresting people. It is unconstitutional. And they've done this weird thing where they have a federally administrative warrant, which is some bullshit. It doesn't even allow you to actually have access into a home. Yeah, they're trying to find ways around the system.
Those janky warrants are what was used to arrest Don Lemon and Georgia Foote, which is what she was talking to authorities at her door about.
This is a little aggressive to just serve a warrant. Slide the warrant. Let me see the warrant. Okay. And that, to me, what I have been told, is not a judicial warrant.
She was told that wasn't a real warrant, which they're not. They're being used to skirt the law because a lot of their actions aren't being cleared by the courts.
And what that says to me, when you're willing to shred the Constitution to preserve it's not only your power, but your ideas of what should happen, it is incredibly un-American.
That's the First, Second, Fourth Amendment.
The fourth is the one about entering somebody's home. Yeah. So it's Yeah, I just think it's an important thing to speak out against. I just think it's horrific.
Lauren LaRosa, she interviewed Derek Johnson. He's part of the NAACP. And he was saying, like, the problem with ICE is that there's no names, like, they're not identified. You don't even know when, like, an unfortunate situation like this happened. You don't even know who the person shot them. Like, you don't have any...
That's a huge problem. Masks, no badges, no badge numbers, no identifiable information to even track someone that's breaking the law or hold them accountable. In both cases, with Renee Good and Alex Preddy, they basically shot a U.S. citizen and then just left the scene, which should be illegal in and of itself, I believe. You can't shoot somebody and just leave the scene. They're basically fleeing the crime scene as federal agents, so it's no accountability.
Names or nothing. We don't know if that they're even agents.
I thought Ice-T's perspective was very interesting.
What did he say?
Ice-T said that there's going to be a civil war. But he said the civil war is going to be between local law enforcement
and ICE
agents. He said that it's inevitable because of what, even Taylor is saying. Like, you don't know who these people are.
Yeah.
Right? And at some point, a line has to be drawn in the sand. Because if stuff like this is happening, if you took an oath to protect and serve the civilians of this place, and these people are acting like thugs and acting like goons
with full immunity,
you gotta react to this.
Especially when it comes to jurisdiction or covering crime scenes. ICE shot Alex Preddy and just left the scene, and then Minnesota police had to then come figure out what was going on and put the pieces together. So you could definitely see that being an issue for law enforcement if you have ICE's mass Gestapo running around basically committing crimes that then you have to answer for. It is a huge issue.
But this type of behavior happening in America, I just didn't think it was possible. I thought, and I heard people sounding the alarms. I thought that our institutions and our Constitution could hold up. I didn't think that it would be infringed upon.
But you have to have people who care to hold up.
And that's the question, is like, who's going to end up doing that?
He didn't think it was possible. The general public was warning everybody how bad this would be. Kamala was using her platform to warn everybody how bad this would be.
His explicit intent to jail journalists, political opponents, and anyone he sees as the enemy.
And every single thing she called out Donald Trump has done, step by step, play by play. So people saying they didn't know or they didn't know how bad it was going to be means they chose to be ignorant about it. They chose to duck their head in the sand and act like they didn't hear anybody.
But you have to have people who care to hold up.
And that's the question, is like, who's going to end up doing that? So what you're saying is that local law enforcement is going to end up doing that, and they're going to be pushing back against ICE.
Yeah,
and you would also, I would imagine, would hopefully go, like, there might be people in ICE going, hey, what we're doing is unconstitutional and we cannot continue to behave this way.
Whenever you have a political movement that has been as anti-democratic as Trump and MAGA have been.
Correct. It doesn't matter what these institutions are telling Trump when he's just ignoring them anyway. If a court won't give ICE a warrant, they just make up their own warrant. This has been Donald Trump's MO since he came into office. I went through the steps of creating a dictatorship in another video. One of the main points was, when you focus all the power in the executive office, rule strictly by executive orders, expand your power and ignore all the other institutions, which is what Trump has done. Expand executive power. I mean, we've seen that. How many executive orders has Donald Trump written? Oh, this is very interesting. In both of Clinton's terms combined, he issued 364 executive orders. Bush, 291, 2 terms. Obama issued 276, both terms. Trump, 220 his first term, 235 his second term. That is 455 executive orders in 2 terms, which is way more than either one of these. And he's only been in this second term for a year. I would say that is the definition of expanding executive power.
They grab more power than they're supposed to have. Executive orders fly, decisions get made that no single person should be making. The presidency becomes a dictatorship wearing a democracy costume.
You're going to get pushback culturally, institutionally, legally. That's what you should hope for.
Yeah.
Like, when we see things like this in America, we should hope that immediately everybody's like, this can't happen. And it should be enough pressure put on the administration that the administration backs the fuck off, which is what I think we're kind of seeing now.
But it's interesting because I think you see a lot of the Trump sycophants out there that are just defending it no matter what. And I think they're starting to realize, oh, shit, not even the Trump administration is going to stand behind this. And now I'm about to be out there in the cold.
What the fuck does that mean?
Like the
Trump,
the
sycophant. What's that?
The Trump ass kissers. They're like, whatever Trump says, we do. I don't believe in any principles, and I don't believe in the Constitution.
Tell them you're not one of them, Schulz.
No, I mean, I think that anybody who listens to this show knows that I'm not one of them. I mean,
I don't think Schulz is a Trump sycophant. I don't think he's a hardcore go MAGA, whatever Trump says is right, the way Joe Rogan is proven to be. If I'm playing devil's advocate and giving grace, I think he didn't like Kamala for whatever reason, gave Trump a chance because of it, and also knew that he could benefit from the MAGA base if they became his followers, supporters, subscribers. And this is like the third time he's called out Trump about ICE specifically.
My feeling on immigration is like, I think any illegal that's already here should be given a pathway to citizenship as long as they haven't committed any crime. That's how I personally feel. Now, you might feel like you want all illegals gone. You might feel like you want strong borders. Okay to feel, but the way to do it is not this way. The way to do it is not to erode American values. I think that we can all agree on that.
I think in this case, I'm a little less hot than I was in the other video where I talked about Schulz backtracking.
Lashings or criticism on the internet.
I'm conflicted again because he is using his platform to call this out. He doesn't have to, but also he platformed Trump and promoted him. So I'm back to him again.
We've seen his first administration. He doesn't like being held accountable for anything.
Oh, so they did see the first administration. They did know what Trump was about. So why platform him? Don't act surprised now. Shut the up. Because Schulz sitting down with Charlemagne comes off a little less performative and more candid than it did on the Flagrant podcast. I still think people want more of an apology or acknowledgement of doing wrong from Andrew as far as supporting Trump than what he's actually given. But again, he's using his main platforms at this point to speak out about Trump. Even if you don't agree what he's speaking out about, or now he's acting like stuff he didn't have a problem with before he has a problem with now. I think anybody using their platforms to speak out about Trump and this administration is a good thing. But you do not have to give him credit. I'm sure a lot of people won't. But shout out to my channel members. Thank you so much for supporting. And thanks for watching. Y'all let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Also, make sure you check out the next video. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram for behind the scenes and life stuff. And I'll catch you next time. Peace.